All right, we are back here on the podcast, getting ready for the PGA Championship this week at Valhalla. Joining me today to break it all down, the great Dan DeMartini in the PGA Tour is here. Dan, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing extremely well. How are you, Mike? Things are good in the golf world here, and excited as we continue the major stretch here. I know last time we spoke was right before the Masters, so I think I looked good given taking Scotty in that event, and we'll see we'll get into my picks a little bit for this one later on. But how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I did take your advice and placed a wager on Scotty to win the Masters, so I was very happy I cashed that out.
There you go. Hey, someone other than me, but that was my gut feeling, and right now it's there's a lot going on in Scotty's life, but I report what I see and the vibes I get from players, and that was a vibe that seems pretty dialed in.
Yeah, for sure here. And obviously, we got the PGA this week here. We are going to Valhalla. What can you tell us about this course here? What do we need to know about Valhalla?
Yeah, so you're heading into Louisville, Kentucky, and this is a very historic golf course, kind of one of the mainstays of the PGA of America. It's just an absolutely gorgeous rolling hill type course. I think the biggest thing to note going into this one is that it sounds as though there's been some changes. The last time the PGA Championship had been there was 2014, and Rory McIlroy had won. And it sounds like they've made some changes from what I've heard in terms of the type of grass that they're using in certain areas of the course that are going to impact how players approach the green. Sometimes this is a common defense of golf courses, especially with how long these guys are hitting. If you can't make the course longer, you can make it harder to get on the green in two, and or on a par 5 and 3. So what I'm hearing is that the type of grass they're changing to is not going to hold as much. So if you do, it's going to feel a lot like how Augusta was playing, where if you hit and you miss the green side, you're going to have a very tight, thin line. You're going to have to really be good with your short game in order to make sure that if you do miss the green and you don't get that kind of rollout, that you are prepared to hit a pretty masterful shot to give yourself a chance to make birdie or unfortunately, maybe even par. So I'm hearing that. I'm also hearing that obviously it's warm here in the South. It's in where I am in Florida. It's in the 80s and 90s every day already, and Louisville's got a very similar climate. So you have to imagine that with the event now being, in the month of May, it's going to be hot and things are going to be burnt, and the scoring is then going to be impacted as well. If things are cool and calm and you're getting a good amount of rain, the ball is going to be hitting and staying because everything is going to be soft conditions. But with a good amount of breeze and hot conditions, you're probably looking at scores that are going to look very similar to what you saw during the Masters. And that caters to a very specific kind of golfer, a golfer who can make the birdies when everybody else is tapping in for par. And the scores are not going to be particularly low. You would assume that this one's going to be another one where, 11 or 12 under might be enough. So maybe less. So that's kind of the initial impact is you're going to look at some really beautiful things on the golf course from just a vantage point from behind tee boxes, and it's going to have a variety of different greens and shapes and sizes that are going to really challenge the players to make sure that, okay, if you're safe off the tee, you're not just safe because you put it in the fairway. You're going to have to really think through shot shaping as you attack these greens and where you want to land the ball, so that you don't put yourself with a really difficult approach.
Yeah, that makes sense here. So what types of golfers do you feel like would do well on this course?
Yeah, the iron players. When Rory won it in 2014, that's when he was just striping every single approach shot to the green. He's given himself chances to make putts. It would be cliche for me to say, whoever putts the best wins. I mean, that is the statistic that makes you a professional versus an amateur really good player is, can you make those 8 to 10 to 12 foot putts? And it's going to come down to that again. But I think more so it's going to be, can you leave yourself a 6 foot putt rather than a 9 foot putt? And, those 3 feet might be the difference as well. So I think that the key statistic is, the actual length of putts that you will have on this golf course. And that comes down to, not once you're on the green, that comes to what'd you do to get on the green? Where'd you put the ball? And so the guy with the shortest length of putts, I think, is going to be obviously going to be giving themselves the best chance. And I think that there's quite a few players out there that, you can identify pretty quickly in those key statistics.
Yeah, for sure here. So let's look at our reigning champion here, Brooks Koepka, who obviously has done well at the PGA in the past. He wins last year here. Do you like Brooks's chances at a repeat?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of look at it in a way where, Brooks is the kind of guy who, when it's a major, he's on and he's ready to go. And I think it would be foolish for any, person that is watching golf, professional golf, and, any other tour that's out there to understand that, Brooks Koepka, when there is a major championship on the line, he is a threat to win at all times. And so I kind of look at this and, I think that I think it's genuinely a 4-horse race, and we'll get into who I think those 4 horses are, but Brooks is definitely one of them. He just seems to, when it's the PGA Championship, I don't know if it's the ties to the PGA of America or just, where he kind of established his name, winning back to back. And I don't know. It would definitely think that he's gonna be there. Even if he's not there after day one, I just think that as long as he puts himself in a good position after the first 2 rounds, he's not a name you're going to want to see if you've got like a 1 or 2 stroke lead going into Sunday.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here we're talking about Masters champion Scotty Scheffler. Obviously, he played very well with Augusta. You mentioned he's a lot going on in his life right now. So, do you think like that's gonna have an impact on his chances to do well here?
I still think that Scotty Scheffler is in one of those very special moments in history. You don't see it very often. I mean, they keep showing that statistic about how, Scotty Scheffler has been world number 1 for, an insane amount of time now, like 80 weeks or whatever the heck it's been. But in order to catch Tiger Woods, he'd have to remain this way till like 2030 or something like that. He'd have to hold the spot. Now, Tiger's run is historic and probably will never be realistically caught. But the fact that he's even in the same statistic line with Tiger Woods, prime Tiger, is just an incredible feat. So he has found something in his life about where he is. He's comfortable. He's happy. He's got a lot of things going for him on and off the golf course. And, I don't think that the distraction of becoming a father and all of that is going to impact his ability too much. As a new father myself, you can, once you get up until that point, the first couple of weeks are really, really hard. But he's going to have help. He's got a great family support system around him. And, his wife is an incredible person who's, understands that this is a special time in his career and not too many people get this chance. So I think he's going to be able to find the best of both worlds. And to be honest, I think it'll motivate him, becoming a father as well. There's something about, I've taken on I've been given this incredible opportunity to be a mentor and a parent or a father that my child wants to be proud of. And it's got that incredibly motivating factor. But yeah, there's going to be some sleepless nights coming up for him pretty quick, but I don't think it's going to impact his chances when it comes to the game of golf.
Yeah, while we were talking, I also looked back at the last time the PGA was here back in 2014, and as you mentioned, Rory won here. But the top 3 finishers from that event are in this field right now. Obviously, Rory's playing. Got Phil Mickelson finished second. It was a stroke back there. Ricky Fowler was third, 2 strokes back in a tie with Henrik Stenson here. But do you think the advantage of playing well for those 3 is going to carry over to this year?
Yeah, it's really hard because so much has changed. To be perfectly honest, I mean, even if you look at Rory, who won the event, I mean, he's changed quite a bit. And, I will say just quickly on Rory, before we get into kind of the other guys that were around the top of the leaderboard, Rory right now, I think as we speak, is playing very well. And, giving a really good run right now at Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow, which he also has a lot of experience at. I think there's I think the schedule actually worked out really well for Rory in the fact that, he's got this good feeling about, winning there in 2014, and he's playing at Quail where he's had a ton of success, especially at the Wells Fargo Championship. And so I think he is definitely, if he was going to win another major, this one has set up very well for him, just with how the schedule has fallen. And his game kind of gearing up. This is usually around the time of year when Rory really gets going. As for the other guys that are in contention, a lot has just changed in their personal lives and their competitive efforts and where they are, and won't even get into all of that. But this has a very, in my mind, and it's nothing against the rest of the field, but in my mind, I really do think it comes down to Rory, Scotty, Xander, and Brooks. And I think that, and I know that from a, not even from an odds perspective or anything, I just think that those four guys are looking at their games, looking where they are right now, looking how they shot shape, and I just think they're all peaking kind of at this moment. And if you were saying, you could pick four, I mean, those are the four that I would go for.
Yeah, that's for sure here. And obviously, those guys are interesting ones to see here. So, in terms of these top contenders here, I do think those guys are the guys to watch here. I'm curious about, like, sleepers as well. So, like, who are you looking at on the sleeper side? Who do you think could be, like, somebody who we're not talking about right now could make an impact this weekend?
So here's one that I probably should have selected during the Masters, whose name just constantly is creeping up leaderboards. His name is Ben On, and he has very quietly put together a really good season. I think he's only played 12 events. He's got 4 top 10s. I'm pretty sure most people saw his name was on that Masters leaderboard. I think he ended up finishing tied for 16th. I think he fell off a little bit on Sunday, but he was in contention for a good portion of that tournament. He's hitting the ball extremely well. He's in contention right now at Wells Fargo. I think he's only a few shots back as we record this. He's a guy who is having a really sneaky good year, and I don't think the moment is too big for him. If a lot of the Korean players kind of specialize in these kinds of courses like Valhalla, where there's this shot shaping and iron play that is just, it's all about precision and where you're putting yourself off the tee. And I think that Ben On is a really interesting deep look. I don't even see him. I know he's in the field, but I don't see him a lot in being talked about, even in kind of the odds makers end. So if you're looking for a deep sleeper that I think a lot of people are overlooking, given how he's played, Ben On would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, that's for sure. So obviously, we talked about some of the top picks here. Like, if you had to peg your winner right now, who would you go with?
I really, it's hard to ever pick against Scotty. It really is. I've looked, semi-smart by continuing to say every time you and I talk, pick Scotty Scheffler, pick Scotty Scheffler. But my gut is telling me that, okay, yes, everybody, the pressure is always on Rory when he's at Augusta, but as soon as that pressure is now off, something just is telling me he's going to play really well this coming week. I don't know. I'm getting these vibes and everything going on, in terms of the game of golf and his involvement and his importance internationally and the spotlight really being on him. I would feel less enthusiastic about, saying that my pick is Rory if he was winning right now at Wells. I know everybody is chasing Xander. I like the fact that he's just in the mix in the top 5 right now. I like that he's hunting, he's finding something in his game right now so that he can peak next week. So I know this, seems like the easy answer, but I would take Rory McIlroy to win again at Valhalla.
Yeah, plus, the fact he's won there already, he's definitely a good omen. He's got confidence on that course, even though they changed a little bit since the last time we were there.
Yes, and I just think that he's getting back-to-back competitive weeks on golf courses that he, has had success on, and I think he continues there seems to be this weird narrative that like Rory's best days are gone. I mean, it's kind of scary for me to think because we're the exact same age, and I'm like, he's still in the prime of his career. I mean, golf is a little different in that normally like Scotty is a bit of an exception here, but you would assume that your prime in golf is like 25 to 35, and Rory's still within that window. So, I don't really understand the narrative that he's over. I think he's still, up there. We just haven't seen one of those dominant Rory performances in a while where he just like is, 9, 10 shots ahead. Where, believe it or not, the last time I think that sticks out in everybody's mind is when he did that at Wells Fargo. But my big thing is really with him. I just think that he wants to prove a point that he can still get it done when all the best competition in the entire golf world is there. So I'm kind of thinking that that's where he's at, and I think he's going to come out with a pretty killer instinct starting next week.
Sounds good, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People want to follow you on social media. Keep up with some of your golf thoughts. How can I do that?
Sure, DMart207. I'm on what people are now calling Twix because it's Twitter and X together. So I've been hearing this more and more. People are now calling it Twix. So I don't know if that's catching on anywhere else, but on Twitter X, that is my handle. So, but enjoy the golf. It's hopefully up in the Northeast. I'm not sure. Last time I saw somebody post something, they were playing golf, but they were all bundled. So it still seems like it might be cold up there. You can't go 5 feet down here in the South without sweating. So I'm hoping that we can send some of the weather up your way and everybody up there can get out and start enjoying and watching golf at the same time.
Yeah, we've had a couple of teases worth days where it's like 80 degrees, and most of the time right now it's like 60 or so on or so forth.
So hopefully you can get more of those days coming pretty soon. So, but thanks for the time and enjoy the golf.
All right, Dan. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
No problem.